All right. Hey, here I am today on the American Signature Podcast. I'm fortunate enough to have Brandon Martin with DayBreak Outdoors with me. I was able to find time in this schedule to meet with me and go over some things that we like talking about. So, hey, Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm good. Hope everybody else is doing well. Feel
Yeah.
feel honored to be on the first podcast I've ever done. So
First podcast, man. I find that hard to believe, man.
Man, there's been a lot of people ask me, but and I don't know why I said yes to you, but I'm not a big talker. I'm not a big rambler. A lot of other people are a lot better than me, but we'll see how good I do. So
I got you. Well, it'll be fine. And what most of this is about, I mean, I'll have me a drink of water or something as we're going, so kind of informal. People just like conversations, they like hearing other people have conversations about things they like. So, give us a little bit of bio about you, Brandon Martin. Is DayBreak Outdoors all you do? I know you've not been married too long. You just had your anniversary. We scheduled kind of around that. My anniversary was the same week, so we kind of both bounced around. But give me a little bit about your bio and tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so I live in Dexter, Missouri. It's not that big of a town. It's 7,000. That'd be big considered to a lot of people, but I grew up in Nashville actually, and I honestly ended up over here just because of duck hunting. My mom moved to Jeff City when I graduated, so I kind of had to go to college somewhere in the Missouri area. And pretty much my whole life, I've been hunting in the well, not my whole life, but since I was about 12 years old, I've been hunting in the Dexter area, and it's really good area for ducks. And a couple buddies, especially Eric Reinhardt, I used to live with him, but we hunted, we grew up hunting a bunch, came up here all the time with my stepdad, and we got introduced, and Eric was telling me, hey man, you probably just need to go to school at SEMO, which is an hour away from here. And he's just telling me how they went to school there, and they always, woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drew out at Otter Slough. That's the public place we have. So ended up going to Southeast Missouri State and meeting a bunch of great guys there. And somehow I landed my dream job, and now I'm here being a weirdo editing duck hunting videos on my computer every day. So I'm definitely blessed, and yeah.
Cool. What did you go to college for?
I actually graduated with an ag plant and soil science degree, and when I got out of college, I went to work for Ag Explorer, which is a company that sells nitrogen stabilizers and so on. But I ended up telling the CEO, I was like, hey, you need to let me do a couple product videos for you. And he ended up letting me do one for him, and ended up hiring me for marketing. And that's kind of how I started my career for filming. That's not how I got started filming, but that's how I got my career going with it. And then DayBreak came along, and then I actually also am the creative director for Banded. So I've got a lot going on. So
it is a lot,
but very blessed.
That's right. So what did you start? You said you did that for your guy for the ag business video, but when did you start actually filming and doing some video editing and stuff? Like, how did you hone your craft and learn how to do that?
So when I was probably 13 or 14 years old. I've only duck hunted since I was about 12 years old with my stepdad. He took me to Stucco, Arkansas for the first time. But
I got you hooked.
I got my first iPhone, and I thought it was cool having a decent camera. And I would just, every time we went out to our ice pit, I just filmed a group of ducks coming in. So I ended up gathering several clips for that. And I remember my mom having a big iMac computer. It's just crazy big. And she had a editing software on there called iMovie. And I just opened it up one day. I was like, well, heck, let's just fool with some videos and see what happens. And I imported all those videos, and I forgot what song it was, but it was one of the first duck hunting songs I watched on YouTube. I just copied the song and put it put it to my videos, a compilation of videos, and pretty much the rest is history. I went out and bought my first camera. I think it was a Canon 60D. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. As soon as that camera came in at UPS, I went straight out and started taking pictures, and I've been hooked ever since. Now it's my job. So
Pretty cool, man. Yeah. And
yeah.
I didn't actually know. I knew that the Bandit was a part of DayBreak, but I didn't actually know you were the content director for Bandit. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. That was probably 2.5 or 3 years ago. I wasn't really liking the direction that the company I was working for, and I basically, well, the guy I brought up earlier, Eric Reinhardt, he's actually his brother-in-law is actually the director of marketing for Bandit, and that's
Okay.
kind of how I had an in with Bandit, because when Bandit first came out with their breathable waders, they would send us a bunch of pair to try out, and we thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Oh yeah.
Wearing a new style of waders. I mean, those things are just crazy comfortable when you're going from breathable to neoprene. It's a big difference. But anyways, Eric's brother-in-law is Josh, so I ended up telling Josh, or I ended up texting him one day. I was like, "Hey man, if you ever have an opening for a video guy or whatever, I'm ready." And it was, I don't know, 2 weeks later, and I was working for Bandit. So he said, "I got a spot for you right now." So I've been with them for about 3 years now. And
Do you ever do any? Go ahead.
And then obviously I do DayBreak too as well. So those two things keep me plenty busy.
Do you do any stuff with Chad and Clay with Foul Life, or doing their video stuff, or?
No, I don't have any relations with them, but they're obviously they had a big part in how Bandit came up. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So man, that's it seems like it was just divine intervention, man. Lord opened some doors and made it happen for you.
Yeah, I live a dream every day. It's awesome.
Yeah. Now, how old are you? I forgot to ask you that part.
I'm 27.
27. All right.
Yep.
So man, you still just getting after it.
I'm in my prime. Yeah, I'm in my prime.
Does your wife go with you, do any hunting stuff with you, or does she take part in any of the activities?
She's probably listening to us in the other room, but she's an animal lover, so I try and take her out once a year, but she has a hard time with it when we bring a crippled duck back and I have to wring its neck or pound its head on the side of the pit. She's not too big of a fan for that, so that's why she goes about once a year and she's done. So
I hear you. I'll tell you the secret to that. So my wife is about the same thing, and then now I have a son. Well, my son just turned 5. My daughter just turned 1. But I took my son on his first duck hunt. And I went home for leave for Christmas last year and got to hunt a couple of days. Of course, took him on some of my private holes there in Alabama that I got. And man, he is eat up with it. All he wants to talk about it. And of course, we got the dogs and we got we all that good stuff. And now that he's hooked, Mama's got to go with him. And so now it becomes a family affair. So whenever y'all start having kids, you get the kids trickled in, Mom will start following along with them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's how it'll be. We don't have any kids yet, but we'll probably have one here in the next year or two. So I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited for it.
Dude, it is super cool. Now I don't know what I'm gonna do this year because I always go to I run a lodge in Arkansas in Jonesboro, Bono. I have a private club there I run, and of course one in Alabama, just outside about an hour and a half south of Nashville. So we got about as the best duck hunting you can have in North Alabama, anyways.
Uh-huh.
But it can be good, it can be bad, but it's not Arkansas. It's definitely not Missouri.
A lot of wood.
I don't know what I'm gonna do this year. I can't take him on over the weekend in the pit. There's no way. It would just be way too much for him. But I don't know how I'm gonna tell him. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I still haven't figured out how I'm gonna break it out. So he will be upset with Daddy. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the part I'm dreading. I'm dreading telling my kid no, because I remember I got told no a bunch. I asked to go on every trip, and unfortunately I couldn't make all of them. But if my stepdad would have let me, I would have went on every one of them. I was that
Yeah,
hooked.
it's something else, and I mean, I can't wait. We got my dog's having her last litter, and he's helped us raise the first two. So I breeded her 3 times, and she's a hunt retriever champion, master hunter. So I mean, she's been there.
Okay.
She's my personal duck dog also, and we did 3-peat breeding to Chris Aiken.
Yeah.
Me and him buds, and we did a repeat breeding to his dog because his puppies just all been jam up. We looked at breeding to some of his other studs and some of his other. He still had some frozen semen, some of his other dogs. I really wanted to try some of them, but man, all the puppies just we didn't want to change anything. We afraid we'd jinx it, so we did a 3-peat breeding, and they're home without me right now, getting ready to whelp some pups here in a couple of weeks, and he is all kinds of excited. He's wanting to keep one, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm still contemplating that too. So it's definitely, man, when y'all get there, it's even a girl. My daughter's 1, and I can't wait till she's old enough. I don't care, boy, girl, whatever. If they want to go out in the woods with daddy, I want them to go. So
Yep.
it'd be pretty cool.
Dang right.
So you got all that going. So then how did DayBreak come about? You did some early filming for yourself, I guess. You and Reinhardt maybe got together. How did that whole come about?
So yeah, I kind of started doing a little filming myself, and then in college, a couple buddies, one of my buddies named Rory, he had a little, flip DSLR, whatever you want to call it. And Eric and a guy named AJ Vogler, they started a company where they guided snow goose hunts down in the Boot Hill in Missouri called Hunt Raw, which was real action waterfowl. And that name kind of, after college or whenever they kind of faded off, that name kind of faded off. And when me and a couple guys started hunting with Eric and all those guys again, we kind of started that name up again and started filming a couple of YouTube shows on it. It was incredible hunting it. I just remember how good the hunting used to be down here. But yeah, we posted a couple videos then, and then we met another buddy in college, and so it was about 3 of us, and we started a show called Day 60, and that went on for about a year, and then one of my best friends, Rory, he passed away, and
I remember seeing that from your first video. You had him, and I guess his dad was on video with you.
Yeah. And so Day 60 kind of went different directions, and and we really only put out 2 or 3 episodes, but I guess I kind of saw the value, or there was where I saw the value of what a hunting show would do. Because I mean, I feel like we're pretty good duck hunters. I feel like we have really good ground to hunt on, and we're blessed for it. And and with my camera skills, well, at the time, they weren't really that well, but I was just like, well, hell with it. I'm going to start my own deal and see what happens. Because it was just the perfect combination. You had 3 or 4 guys that were just funny. They were just great on camera. That was the time I was getting really addicted to editing and trying to be the best that I could be. And we had pretty decent ground to hunt on. So you put all those 3 things together, and you got something. And I always tell people that anybody can get a camera, but what makes the difference is somebody who can tell the story. So for DayBreak to be differentiated from anybody else, there's got to be something different than all the other hunting shows. Because if you're the exact same, you're not going to stick out. So we shoot into a flock of mallards, everybody's screaming. Well, most people probably take that off. We're leaving that in the videos. So it's just little things like that that I kind of try to set it apart from being like any other hunting show. And that's kind of what you got to have. You got to have an edge. So so DayBreak started in 2018, and now we're on season 4, and it's definitely changed a lot. There's been a lot of people come and go, I'm not going to take all the credit for where it's been. I'm blessed to have all the guys that help me. So, but now I feel like it's gotten a lot bigger. We're doing a lot more things different. We're a lot more efficient at things. So, yeah, I'm definitely happy with where it's at now, but that definitely doesn't mean we're satisfied, because if you're satisfied, you're not really going to get anywhere. Got to stay
Yeah,
hungry.
you brought up a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. It's about telling a story, right? I'd rather see somebody, which y'all got in picture seasons and the stories y'all do, but I'd rather, if somebody's going to do it, I'd rather see them make 3 good videos for the hunting season, minus 10, getting to the water, shooting ducks, straps and mallards, ranger ride. I'd rather see the story. I'd rather see the falling in the water. I'd rather see, what was it when your buddy Reinhardt, that one, showed up, 3 hours late, and then the flock started coming in, brought the straps. I'd rather see the prep on the ground, and hey, this is how we prepped it in the summertime. You're all encompassing stuff, and that's where I really hooked on y'all's is the story aspect to it, and it's not just the one place y'all got the yellow house and all that stuff, but it's the all encompassing. This is how we got here. This is where it come from. This is what we did to land, and we got to put the water on it. We got that to me that just makes it the big picture, and it's entertaining to watch, and you learn something from it also. I mean, so I'm not trying to tell you, maybe I won't give you too big of a head, but I really enjoy watching y'all stuff. So, and as you can tell, I remember stuff from it. So if I remember something, I'm as dense as they come. So if I can remember something from it, old country boy from Alabama,
Yeah.
then people who are really good at this kind of stuff, and I think that's been part of y'all's success.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great shows out there, a ton. But that's the thing you got to do. You got to find that little deal where you're just a little bit different than everybody else. And I don't know, it's the personalities and the guys that help me with the cameras, and our ability to be able to kill ducks and show people why we do what we do, where we put the decoys, where we put them, why we don't use mojos too much. It's the whole. We like to call it the full show. It's called the full show. So
that's a buddy of mine. He's in the industry. He's the VP of one of the ammunition companies. We hunt together. He lives in Little Rock, and he said he only wants to show up for the big rides. He didn't show up for the little rides. So I'll sleep in for the little rides, but I'll show up with the big rides already. Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. So talking about camera guys. So are you? I guess you're not the only camera guy. Or maybe you started off being the only camera guy, but now have you progressed having a couple of you, or what's the deal?
Well, a couple. When I first started, a good buddy of mine, Taylor Stewart, he helped out a ton. He had a kid and kind of got busy with life. And then Nick Bemler, which is a guy that lives in Dexter, he was a great help. He just kind of got busy and had kids. And Drake Mitchell, which is a great buddy of mine, he's a big help to me. Another guy that helped me this year was Jackson White. He's kind of one of our guides. He was one of our guides, but he would cook, he would run the camera, he'd go get ducks, he'd just do it, whatever. So there's definitely been a lot of people that have helped me film. I've even had my cousin come down to Arkansas and film. So I'm just happy to have people that want to help. That's for sure. But as far as the editing goes, I do all the editing.
Just keep it in house on your own, so you have control over it.
Yep. I spend a lot of time on this computer, probably too much time, but it's probably from about it's probably the end of March till about October is when I'm really hard on the computer. Obviously turkey season comes around, and I flip those episodes as fast as I can, because I try to make content that's happening right now, current. But our duck season episodes are always this past year, just because we're so busy with just everything going on. And I come home. We go every day. I got to wake up at 3 o'clock, drive an hour to the farm we hunt, and then, come back when we get done, and I'm just worn out. So
Yeah.
there's just no way I can spend 80 hours to get an episode done. So that's kind of why I've always done it, a half year behind. But I mean, people don't seem to care. I know people like current content, which is why we try and do I do a series called DayBreak, and it's a lot more raw, a lot less edited. I just kind of show what's going on, what we're doing, why we're planting corn here, why we're brushing it like this. People seem to enjoy those shows just as much as they do the normal season. So
yeah,
kind of where I'm at with that.
What camera are you using?
I am currently using a Sony A7S III, and it's come a long ways, honestly. I went from a 60D, and then where'd I go next? And then I went to an FS700 with an Odyssey monitor, and that was a great camera. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, filming in 60 frames a second. And then when I figured out how to do 240, I was just mind blown. I'm just mind blown. And then I went to an FS5 with a Atomos Shogun monitor, and that was just as cool. But then I realized, man, I hate carrying this thing around. It's a pain in the butt. So I ended up getting an A7S II, and that's when I quit complaining about low light. I thought it was crazy how you could basically film in the dark with no light.
What's your ISO?
You were saying what? So what's my ISO?
Oh yeah. So what's your ISO on that camera? You're talking about low light filming.
It's been a long time since I filmed with it. Are you talking about the one I currently have, or the A7S II?
Oh, you said the one you was complaining about. So that's not the one you're using now.
Oh, well, the one I was complaining about was either the FS700 or the FS5. They're terrible in low light. You can't do anything until until it's 9 o'clock. And that's why I got the A7S II, is because I joined a ton of groups on Facebook, like Sony, Canon, whatever, and I just got to reading and watching people and their sample videos, and I was just blown away by how well this new A7S II could do low light. So I was like, well, I'm going to sell my FS5. I mean, slow motion is important, but if this A7S II does 120, I'll be good enough. Well, I bought the A7S II. I got it during snow goose season, and we were setting out decoys, and it was pitch dark, and I was filming, and I was just mind blown. Just crazy what a camera can do. And you were asking about ISO. That camera will probably, it'll go up to like 400,000 or whatever it is. But I mean, at max, I'd probably go to 25, but that's a 25,000, but that's quite a bit. So that was really cool seeing what that camera did. And then what I do. And then I bought an Ace, and then I sold that. I trade cameras like crazy. And I think I finally met a point where I'm finally done with that. I realize I'm spending way too much money. But I ended up selling the A7S II, getting an A7 III, because I wasn't happy with the A7S II pictures. Because, when we're out in the boat or whatever, I've got to switch back and forth to pictures, to video, to slow motion. So I ended up saying, okay, let's get a picture camera. So the A7 III, which did 24 megapixels. Man, I'm a geek. I don't even know why I'm talking.
Hey man, I like it.
Yeah. And then I said, well, I need a slow motion camera too when the sun gets up. So I ended up buying. What did I buy? I ended up buying the FS5 again and the Shogun, and I lost $1,000 just buying and trading like that. I mean, it wasn't a month later that I had sold it and bought again the FS5. I was happy with it. It just wouldn't do it all. So now I have the A7 III, I had the FS5, which did slow motion. And, I talked about how I'm always on these groups, seeing what cameras did what. Then I ended up buying a Blackmagic because I'm blown away how cinematic the image looks. And after duck season, I finally said, all right, I am 100% done. I'm not messing with it anymore. I'm just gonna, because the A7S III came out and it has everything anybody would possibly ever want. Maybe the pictures aren't the best, but it's incredible. So,
and you're gonna end up with a red like a full body gimbal,
Yeah, hold on. It's tiny. I mean, this little camera will do. That's kind of what I was. That's kind of how I used to be. I used to think I needed a big camera to film a cool TV show, but that's not the case. We're in 2021, and this camera right here will do. I mean, if I put this against a red, like a red Raven, the untrained eye will never be able to tell. Sometimes I won't even be able to tell. So to me, it's not worth. And the reds are crazy heavy. I don't even know why. I don't even know why people screw with them. But if you put this beside a red, I mean, especially with the slow motion, it's gonna compete. And I can flip back and forth between picture, video really fast. It's just a great camera. So that's where I'm at now. This is my only camera. I do own a GoPro. I ordered a GoPro, maybe the Hero 9 for turkey season, because I was I really wasn't happy with just one angle. I wasn't happy because I would be against a tree, and I would have a 70 to 200 on, which is a pretty tight lens, and people wouldn't know where the shooter was, what tree they were on. So I wanted something really wide, and it's not the best quality. It's absolutely terrible in low light. So when the sun's coming up, it's just, you can hardly see anything, but it's definitely worth having. Turkey season, I really don't worry too much about what the footage looks like. I used to, but then I realized nobody watches it. And turkey hunting's a different story. You have to tell the story in a much different way. Some of the best guys that do it in the industry is the hunting public. They're not and I'm sure they'll claim this, they're not the best videographers, but they tell the story. And I catch myself watching it every time from the beginning to the end. So I started realizing I need to start capturing, I need to start just staying on record while we're running after a turkey and looking like idiots, because that's what people want to see. I was trying to just make a crazy good production on turkey hunting. You just can't do that. I mean, that's the viewership showed that. So
you're talking about your forums and groups and stuff. So there's some videographers and video editors up there that I like, that I follow, that have nothing to do with the hunting industry. I like Peter McKinnon. I like Matty Apaya. And, they're always trying out different cameras and doing different stuff. That's kind of how I've learned a few things from some of like Peter's old tutorial stuff. So is there anybody like that on YouTube or content creator that you like or follow that has nothing to do with the outdoor industry?
I have watched a ton of Peter McKinnon stuff, but I mostly watch camera reviews, and there's a couple guys that I have in my head that I couldn't tell you what the names are, but I honestly haven't, ever since I was 2 years into filming, I never really watched the videos of people showing how to shoot B-roll or whatever it was. When you become a videographer, when you watch TV, you look at it way differently. You're just kind of taken away at how they do things, and you appreciate the angles that they shoot at. And you start watching TV and really paying attention to what they're doing, you're going to learn a ton of stuff. And that's kind of what I don't know what triggered me, but I wanted to become better. So shooting B-roll became a lot easier when I would watch a movie and, see some weeds right in front of the lens, but they're focused on somebody, 20 yards away. I was like, well, I got that shot. All right, what's the next shot? So I just started appreciating TV and movies way more. And I learned a lot off that, honestly.
tell you one of the ones I got addicted to for a long time, and I can't remember his name at all right now. But they do all the video work for commercials, right? So they build these machines. So say like a big Whopper that's falling on top of itself with the lettuce and the mustard. So they build these machines that make all that happen. They film it in real time. And so they do that and they shoot it, on the super slow-mo cameras. And they have these machines that'll start just moving and start dropping all the stuff together. Or they'll do the Coke in the bottle and make it spin. And I
Or the
think
Kit Kat bar.
yeah, and I used to think all that was mostly CG, or they do a little bit and then CG it in. But it's cool just watching build these machines and then the camera be on some kind of gyro gimbal that'll spin with it. And I got hooked on watching those. It was just neat seeing everything they could do with stuff.
Yeah, there's an Instagram account. I don't know who it is, but they showed the scene first, like the Kit Kat bar, landing on the table and bouncing up, and then they show somebody's filming it on a cell phone of behind the scenes, and it's just crazy what they do. And that's another reason why I just have such a better appreciation of commercials or movies or whatever. Just watching how it's done, it's just crazy, and the amount of skill that takes, and the lighting, and man, it's just a lot. I think I edit a lot, but those guys they're on a different level.
What for editing, what software are you using? What kind of computer system are you
on? When I started working or actually it was before that, I bought it's a iMac Pro 2018-ish model. And I ended up just saying, all right, I was so sick of my computer taking forever. It's just wasting time. And yeah. I actually took my mom's iMac that I learned on. I actually took that when I got done with school. She was just like, you can have it. So I took that home, and it was like a 2010 model. And I use Premiere Pro. That's kind of what I've always used. But I started on iMovie, so it took a little bit. But it was just taking up way too much of my time. So I was just like, I've got to make this investment. It definitely emptied my bank account, but it's a really strong computer, so I haven't really had complaints. But Premiere Pro, it definitely has its downfalls. I mean, that program crashes a lot. But there's also another program out there called DaVinci Resolve that I have used before, but I just can't. And I like it a lot, but I just can't fully commit to it because I just have way too many projects going on. I'm never, at a dead moment where I don't have any projects going on, or else I'd switch. But I've just got way too many projects going on at different times. But yeah, that's what I've used. I've used that for as long as I've been editing. So,
what are you uploading in? Are you doing 4K? I mean, when you get down, when you're rendering and everything's in Adobe, what are you putting up on YouTube?
I've always done 1080 still, but I've always filmed in 4K. So I just downsample. It's just, and I don't know why I do that, but I've had trouble with loading it in 4K. A lot of times I've had trouble with it playing on my phone or something being wrong. So, and honestly, I haven't been able to personally tell the difference. So I've kind of just stuck with 1080, and I've been happy with that. So
I've seen a lot of the creators talk about Matt Empoya, all his videos. He's got millions and millions of followers. He does the same thing. He said he films everything 4K, gets it how he wants it. He said, but then he uploads it in 1080, and he said nobody's ever said they know the difference. He said, what can you notice?
Yeah, there's all kinds of people that'll claim that they notice, and they'll zoom in and pixel peep, but at the end of the day, it looks the same to me. So, and I look at it every day. So if I can't tell the difference, I would say the normal person's probably not going to be able to tell the difference.
Right. Well, so kind of my next question was kind of like what's your process, but you kind of explained a little bit, and you may fill in some holes. So you do all your filming during hunting season, right? You put out some of, like, I'm not gonna say lower quality, but some of your less time consuming stuff, to keep going on. And then once season's over, is when you start editing and building your season and stuff like that, and releasing all that stuff. What is your process like? Do you wake up in the morning and just start editing, or do you storyboard? Do you say, hey, I know I've got I remember getting the B-roll with the drone. This time out, you got a drone? I guess you got a drone. I've seen drone footage. What
Yep.
are you flying?
I just switched to the Mavic Pro 2 with the smart remote.
Oh, you like the smart remote on it?
Oh yeah, that's a must for me after I just sold two drones ago after I crashed one. I was sick of my iPhone not having good reception with the drone, so I ended up just getting the smart remote. But my process is, at the end of duck season, it's just a mess. We're just all worn out, and we really don't have anything to do until turkey season. So we waste our time snow goose hunting. We'll have a couple good days, and I try and make an episode out of snow goose hunting, but we're not good at snow goose hunting. I'll be the first one to admit it. We might think we are, but we're not good at snow goose hunting. There's only a couple people that are, but anyways, yeah. So duck season is a mess. So I get home every day and I drop all my footage. And like I said, I used to have 2 or 3, 4 cameras. It would take me 2 hours to drop all the footage, especially those big files like the FS5. I drop them all on hard drives. I mean, you can see all my hard drives right here. That's just a few, but I'll drop the footage, and then snow goose season will go by. I won't touch the duck footage. Turkey season will go by. Won't touch the duck footage. And then about middle of June rolls by, and I have to start thinking about my episodes. What are my episodes going to be? And I kind of make a point to where I have to make about 7 to 8 episodes a year, and usually it's about 6 or 7 duck episodes and 1 snow goose episode. So I kind of have to get a pen and paper and start and looking through my footage. And it's kind of funny because I make it a point to not look at my duck footage until about June 15th. I don't post anything duck hunting. I don't do anything. I keep posting turkey content because that way I have just a really fresh mind going into it. Whenever I watch a ton of my footage, like if I spent half of June looking at duck footage, I would just be kind of brainwashed, and I wouldn't think it's that good. When you put something together and you watch it 3,000 times, the 3,000th time isn't going to be good. The third or fourth time where you put the music together perfectly, that's going to be the time that kind of sparks your brain and wants you to keep going more. So I make it a point just not to look at it. And I get the pen and paper. I start writing it down. All right, episode 1. What happened at the beginning of the year? What happened between week 1 and week 2? What can I piece together? So these hunts start coming in my mind. And then my first step is, all right, so so we killed them in the hellhole one day when the sun was shining and the good south wind. And all right, so let's make episode 1 out of that. So I end up opening a sequence. First thing I'll do is make the introduction. And the way I make the introductions almost every episode is I kind of give a teaser of what the hunt's going to look like, and I overlay some voices of what that day was like. So if somebody's cheering about all the ducks that came in the hole that day, I'm going to overlay that and maybe put some drone footage of the duck blind, and then the intro is going to start where it shows all the logos. Yeah. And then I'm going to find about 2 good songs that I think go good together, and that I feel like that's got to come first. And I hate that process. Every editor should probably hate that process, but I find 2 good songs that I think are going to fit together, put them in the timeline, and then I start looking at footage and when it happened. So as the sun comes up, that's how that footage lays out, from obviously shooting time to the end. So I've got all my footage in there of that hunting day. So I say, okay, well, now you've got to make a story with this. So what led to this point at 6 o'clock in the morning? Well, you got to go back and show how you brushed that blind, how that blind got there, why we picked that spot, why we planted corn there. So I'll put that somewhere in the video, and then I'll start.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you shoot your interviews during the season, or do you go back and shoot them later?
we shoot them right now.
Really?
I actually have to shoot. Yeah. So I've done a couple of Eric's, I've done a couple of mine, but we've got 2 or 3 episodes left that we have to shoot interviews for. And I'm definitely behind this year. It's just been a crazy busy year. Usually I have about 3 to 4 episodes completely done. But right now, I have probably 4 or 5 of them, probably 60% done. And that's my problem. I bounce from project or episode to episode. I never finish one completely and then move to the next. I have to start that process just so some of that, or the majority of that process is done when I do have the interviews. So, and that's another thing that helps us with the interviews is me putting all this footage together on the computer. That makes me have the story in my head, and I know what me and Eric or whoever else is doing the interviews that day, or whoever was on that hunt. I've got that in my mind, and I've got that written all in notes too. So when we go to do the interviews, we'll look at our phone and say, all right, hey, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
And then we get the interviews, we film the interviews and bring them back on the computer. I start chopping them up and figuring out where they go in that hunt. And that's probably the most dreadful process because, you know, you kind of got your music all figured out. You kind of got your duck footage all kind of compiled where you want it, where it's matching with the music. So you kind of got to finagle with it with the interviews, but it's definitely a longer process than I would like for it to be. But put the interviews in, and then I've kind of got to start. So then it's all together. I've got a couple projects right now that are all together, but I've got to start kind of mastering it and really cleaning it up and matching audio levels and color grading and, you know, just making sure all that stuff's the way I want it. So, and then, you know, it's pretty much done at that point. And then, you know, you got to upload it on YouTube, Facebook, you got to make a teaser for it. You got to make a thumbnail for it. It's just it's a long process just to get through one episode. So episode 1 begins tomorrow, and pretty much all week I've been working on, you know, teaser clips, thumbnails, uploading it and all that, make sure I've got the right tags for viewership. And so, yeah, it's a process for sure.
So when at what point you say, all right, I'm ready to export and publish. I'm ready to go to media.
I'm crazy picky about these duck videos. I'll watch them. Like I said, I'll probably watch them 100, 200 times. I'll send them to my good buddy, Kellen, usually, because he's got a really good brain to wrap around it. And he'll watch it. I'll send it to my cousin. He's kind of got a good point of view on it. He kind of knows what to look for and, you know, what he likes in videos. I like hearing feedback. So I'll usually send it to those 2 guys and see what they think, just to get an opinion. And they'll tell me, that interview kind of didn't make sense. I like that part, yada, yada. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But like I said, I've got to the point where I'm really picky, and it probably takes me a lot longer than it should. But, you know, there's like Austin, he's got to edit those Southern Prairie episodes, and he's got to, you know, edit them during season. And I'm sure that just wears them out. And that's what I enjoy about doing them this time of year, because I'm in no rush. I've got nothing but time, and that's why I try and perfect it. So that's probably why it takes a little bit longer than I mean, if you asked Austin, he probably doesn't spend, 60 or 80 hours on one. That's just because I have so much time.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that much time, I'd probably, it'd probably be the same result, but that's just me perfecting it,
Yeah, I'm actually going to have him on here soon. He's just been super busy right now, but with them, if I remember correctly, the way he told me, they had a couple camera guys. They take turn editing. So one of them may be really good at B-roll, one of them may be really good at something else, and then they'll combine. Or for a couple hunts, he may do nothing but shoot footage, and then somebody else edit it, with their footage. They do that kind of stuff. And yeah, you'd see his Instagram post, and it'd be 9, 10 o'clock at night, and everybody's their bed down for the night, and they're sitting there in front of their, Chromebook trying to, with the
Couldn't
orange hard
imagine.
drive, with the orange hard drive like you got right there, 4 of them just a smoking,
Yeah, I
burning up,
couldn't.
and
Yeah,
but yeah, and even like when he was filming for me, I told him, I was like, look, man, I said, I'm not, we could film some, and I want it about 6 months to be done. He's like, oh, that's great. I can sleep tonight, So, it was good. So, but man, that's real cool. Like I said, I'm a fan. Like I said, I've watched it for years. I follow y'all's social media, Instagram. I know sometimes social media can be a bad word, but I think you use it right. It's pretty cool. It can bring people in your world. I'm excited to see episode 1 coming up. But so I was going to ask you what's next. So I guess you still do this next season. Y'all got any extra projects kind of outside the norm y'all are working on or anything?
no, I was gonna say that's probably the best thing about you're talking about Austin and how they're always traveling. He's always having to sleep at camp and all that stuff. That's probably the best part about um, what I do, and the guys that I've kind of surrounded myself with is one of our good buddies bought a really great farm. It's probably, I mean, one of the best farms in the state of Missouri, and I'm blessed enough to be able to hunt it and film on it. But it's an hour away. I used to travel a bunch, but getting married, the wife, she doesn't want you to travel. Probably wouldn't be married with me if I did what I used to do. So
Yeah.
that's probably the best part about it is I'm driving an hour, I'm filming, and then I'm going home, and I get to sleep in my own bed every night. So it not sleeping in your own bed, and having 5 or 6 beers every night, and entertaining people or whatever, like that'll wear you out. So I'm glad I get to come home and sleep a little bit before I have to do it again the next morning. So
No, man. Well, y'all got a great product, and like I said, I appreciate you being on my podcast. I couldn't believe I was your first one, so I definitely
yeah,
feel honored. That's for sure. Maybe
yeah,
maybe you'll feel more, maybe you'll hop on and do some big time podcasts now, not
I
just the little
know
people like me.
this might be the last one. Who knows?
But
I
shoot, man,
enjoyed it though. I
it,
enjoyed it. I don't like
yeah.
talking about myself because I'm not that cool, but yeah, it was fun.
Well, man, you do cool stuff, and so that's what I like. And I do stupid stuff. I like to barefoot water ski and all my stuff from the Army and horse show, and everybody's asking about it. And I say, hey, man, I never said it was easy. I just said it was cool. So
Yeah,
I think you fit in the same realm, man. What you do is definitely not easy, right? You're an artist in your own realm. So when you do stuff like that, it's not easy, but it's definitely cool. And I definitely don't have that mindset. I could talk a little bit, and I understand, frame rate. I understand all that kind of stuff. But what the film, what you do would take me a year probably to do one episode. I'd just be slow figuring it out. So I'd rather have the experts do it, and I kind of like setting up and saying, this is kind of what I'm looking for, and well, the sun's gonna be over here, so I know the eyesight ain't gonna be too good. So let's wait, go in a little early when we get some sunlight. And,
yeah,
I have enough knowledge of that to kind of be like dangerous.
yeah.
I can fight good enough to get my butt whooped. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I hear you.
So, well, hey, Brandon, man,
Everybody's good at something. They just got to figure out what it is and roll with it.
that's right. That's right. Well, dog, I appreciate it, man. I've loved this podcast tonight. So I appreciate your time. You staying up with me. And man, I look forward to seeing what y'all got coming out next.
No problem, buddy. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to
Yes,
be on with you.
yes, sir.